Hello everyone and welcome to the virtual pet video. In this video, since it's almost the festive season, I'm going to go through and give some recommendations for virtual pets that you can give as a gift and what I recommend for you to do so with this super sweet, short little virtual pet gift guide. So before we start, I'm going to be recommending virtual pets that don't require you to import anything from overseas. So these will be virtual pets that you can kind of just go to the store and get, like when you're doing your Christmas shopping. So it's not going to be one that's an extensive list of every single virtual pet that you can get online. It's just going to be a simple, short little gift guide of virtual pets that you can get just by going to the shops, or at least ones that you can get at the time of recording this in Australia. But if you're in America or Europe and Australia, I'm fairly certain we all have similar-ish stock situations, and the prices I'm going to be using are all going to be from EB Games Australia, so the prices might be a little bit higher because I'm using Australian prices and because of the Australian dollar's strength at the moment, and also everything has GST attached to it, so the prices are going to be a little bit higher than what you might see in your own country. So don't panic too much when I say the prices, because some of these prices are a little bit high, but that's just because it's just what we're used to in Australia from EB Games. And even in Australia, you can get them cheaper elsewhere from Target or JB Hi-Fi. I'm just using EB Games prices because they're the easiest to access for me. So of course you can get them from anywhere. Of course you can also buy them online, but I'm keeping this gift guide in terms of things you can go out and get while you're doing Christmas shopping. So fairly straightforward. I'm also going to be recommending these for any and all age groups. I don't think they really apply more to any particular demographic or age group. So this isn't just for kids and it isn't just for adults. You could give this to a kid, you could give it to an adult, depending on what they like as a virtual pet. But I'll be going through the reasons why I recommend each virtual pet. So let's get started. So first of all, if the person you're giving this gift wants a virtual pet that focuses on care and has time to be kind of attentive towards it and to check it when it beeps and to feed it and make sure that its hearts are all full or aren't full depending on what character they want to go for, and has a certain degree of challenge, I recommend to pick up and I have a few of these, the anniversary Tamagotchi, which sort of like the 20th anniversary Digimon virtual pets that came out, and they can be called the original Tamagotchi or the 90s original Tamagotchi, and they can be picked up in Australia for between around 30 to 40 Australian dollars depending on the shell, and they're basically available elsewhere in the world as well. And there are various shell designs to choose from. These started coming out in around 2017, and every few months, and as of recording this, 2021, they're releasing new shells. So there's two versions. There's a Generation 1, and then there's a Generation 2, and they have different characters depending on which version you pick. And they're basically just the anniversary versions. They're just redos of the original two versions of Tamagotchis. So they have the same level of challenge, and they're not changed around as much as the Digimon version 20ths, which added features. They're more or less the same as the ones from the 90s. So if you want something with a challenge to gift to yourself or to a friend or family member, I recommend picking these up. And also, as I said, there are a huge amount of shells, and there's such a price range because some did come out in 2017 and some have just come out recently, and the more recent ones are in that more expensive price point, and there's some really nice ones that have just come out. So, and now they're celebrating the 25th anniversary. So it's basically, a lot of time has passed since they first started releasing the anniversary editions. But they're an easy one to pick up. You can get them in Australia from Target, Big W, I think Kmart as well, EB Games obviously, and yeah, they're just sort of popping up everywhere. I'm pretty sure I've even seen them at like clothing stores, same as the Digimon ones when they were first released. In any case, they're very easy to pick up. So again, if somebody wants a challenging virtual pet and has the time to look after it and just wants something that focuses primarily on care, like the main feature of the Tamagotchi Anniversary Edition is care. Like, there's not much else to it other than caring for it. However, if the recipient of this gift would rather focus on connectivity, battling virtual pets with a large roster of possible raisable characters, I recommend the Digital Monster version 20th, which, if you've watched my other videos, I recommend this as a first virtual pet in general, just because I really like it and I feel like it's got a good amount of care that's required. So it's also called, other than the Digital Monster version 20th, the 20th Anniversary Digi Device, which is a weird name, but it's a name that they've officially gone for, and EB Games and Target. They've all called it the Digi Device. So it can be bought from EB Games in Australia for around 26 Australian dollars, but when they release new versions, they're more on like the $40 price point, but they've all kind of jumped back to 26 Australian dollars, especially the earlier versions. So they look like this, so similar to the Tamagotchi version 20th. I keep on picking up the one that's got green on it when I should probably pick up the one that has less green. There we are. So this is the 20th edition of the original Tamagotchi, and this is the 20th anniversary version of the Digimon. So it's based on the original, but with a few extra features, and of course you have to connect to battle them, and here I am showing green when I have a green screen again. That always works out well. So this can be picked up fairly easily. They're in stock at EB Games and Zing, and they've got tons of them. Again, tons of different shells, but the versioning is a little bit more complicated than just the Tamagotchis that have the two versions. Depending on the shell, you can have there's like one different exclusive egg on each shell version. So you might have to do a little bit of research on that, but there are various resources online like Digitama Hatchery, and I think even Wikimon has information on it. So the information is there, but typically you could just pick whatever shell that they like. There's not too much of a difference. So yeah, this is what I believe is a really great, as I've mentioned before, a virtual pet for a beginner, someone who hasn't really run many virtual pets before. It's kind of a great introduction to that. And it's also a fun device if you have a group of people to give gifts to, because they can all connect and battle each other. So if you're looking for a group gift, if you've got like a big party that you're going to and you want gifts for everyone there, you can just pick up a couple of these and just sort of hand them out like cheap candy, just throw them away. And I think even in America, they've been as low as like $5 American at Target. I'm not sure if that's still a thing anymore, but everyone does talk about it being super cheap in America. So they're probably really easy to pick up there. They're fairly easy to pick up here, but 26-ish Australian dollars, unless they're on sale, obviously. And then they're probably cheaper. So if the recipient of the gift is a little busier in their life, but would still prefer a device that has battling and a quest mode, I recommend one of the most recent virtual pet releases and the most recent Digimon release, and this is the Digital Monster X, also known as the Digimon X. And these can be bought from EB Games in Australia for around 30 Australian dollars, but they're available basically elsewhere too, around the world, so that's just the EB Games price. So these are, as I said, the latest virtual pet that's for Digimon that's been released, and there is a version 2 rumoured to be coming out early next year. So these have a pause functionality, and they're not as demanding as the DM20s that I just mentioned, and they don't necessarily need to be connected as much as other virtual pets to really unlock content. So if you're a busy person and want the ability to be able to pause them, I recommend those. However, with the version 20th, you can pause them, but only for a few hours. The Digital Monster X, you can pause them until you unpause them. So it's a nice little feature if you do live a slightly busier life and you don't have the time to check your virtual pet all the time. So yeah, you can get them for about $30 in Australia from EB Games, but you can probably get cheaper elsewhere. And yeah, there's a bunch of other shells for that too. And this one's a little bit more obvious with the version exclusives and which Digimon you can get on them because they're on the box. So that makes it easier too. And there's various colours with that. So you can also probably, if you're looking for a group gift, get a few of those and hand them out. But you could also do that with the version 20th. So if the recipient of this virtual pet gift lives also still a busy life, maybe even busier than the Digimon X recipient, and they don't have the time to check a virtual pet several times a day or several times an hour in some cases, especially with these, which require much more attention than other virtual pets. But they still want a virtual pet, something that's kind of they can check. Not necessarily that it has a pause feature, because it doesn't, but still something that they don't really need to check that many times. And I've mentioned this so many times before in my other videos, so this is probably not a surprise to anyone, but I'd recommend the Tamagotchi Nano virtual pets. Now, there are several of these types, and they're all tend to be crossovers and tie-ins with other popular franchises. So the ones that you can get, at least in Australia, are like the Demon Slayer ones, and the Pac-Man one, and the Hello Kitty one, and the most recent release, the Star Wars one, which is R2-D2. And so they've got those tie-ins, those cute little tie-ins with other virtual pets, other Tamagotchi franchises, other popular franchises, as I said, Star Wars, Hello Kitty, Pac-Man, especially Demon Slayer, which is a big one at the moment. So it's also a good tie-in for anybody who maybe likes a certain franchise. There's also an Evangelion one, and the Evangelion one might be my favourite out of the nanos that you can get just from the EB games for memory. But in any case, if someone likes a certain franchise that has had a tie-in with a Tamagotchi Nano, then that makes it a really obvious gift choice. And they also obviously want a virtual pet. You're giving them a virtual pet, but you're also giving them something from the franchise that they like. So that's something good about the Tamagotchi Nano franchise. And they only really need to be looked after a few times a day, so they're perfect for someone who has a busy schedule. I really like the Tamagotchi Nanos because of the fact that I don't need to check it multiple times an hour. I only really need to check it multiple times a day. And then I still get a perfect care character. So they're kind of easy and quick. I don't have to spend that much time looking after them. The games are really quick and actually kind of fun. The characters are just adorable, especially if you are a fan of the franchise that's being tied in. And the life cycles are fairly quick. While some Tamagotchis, it may take a week to get to the final evolution form, the Tamagotchi Nanos are usually complete within about 3 days. So again, it's a lot like short and sweet little Tamagotchi, and I really do recommend them. They're also very tiny, so we have this is the Tamagotchi Smart, which is a recent release, and this is the Tamagotchi Nano size. So as you can see, they are very small. So they can just probably fit in your pocket or your bag very, very easily, which also means that it could also be easier to lose. So be mindful of that. Because there's so many of them and how they've been releasing since 2017 up till now, they kind of vary in price. So I think the cheapest one is the Pac-Man one, and that's around 15 Australian dollars. And then the more recent ones go for around 50 Australian dollars. So big jump. These are ones that, honestly, if you're able to import them, I recommend importing because they, at least in Australia, they're cheaper online. You can get them for around $20 just from Japan you want. But again, if you're looking for something you can pick up while you're doing your Christmas shopping, I'd recommend picking up, maybe the Pac-Man one. I've not actually run the Pac-Man one before, but it comes with a little case for it, so you can take it out of the case, and there's a little and you just throw it everywhere. Your little Pac-Man one, it's still got the tab in because I'll start it up one day, I promise. A lot of people have been telling me to start this one up, and I haven't. I'm sorry. I will one day. But yeah, it comes with a little case, which you just pop it in. That's kind of cute. The Gudetama also had a release here as well. That's also a Nano, but I think that's a little bit harder to find than the Demon Slayer one or the most recently the Star Wars one that just came out as of recording this 2 days ago, but as of releasing this video a week ago. So I do recommend the Nanos. I love the Nanos, and if someone has a busy life where they're working basically 9 to 5, don't really have much time to check a virtual pet, or if they do, some days are busier than others, I'd recommend the Nano. You don't have to spend that much attention on it. It's a good one. And as I said, additionally, if the recipient of this gift is invested or interested in any particular franchise that has been the tie-in, obviously get that one. And if you're importing, it is also cheaper, but there are also more tie-in franchises like Fate Extella, Pokemon, Molcar, BTS, Kamen Rider, and more. So it's one, if you do want to import it, I recommend Japan You Want. That's where I import most of my virtual pet stuff, so I do recommend checking that out if you do want to import some of these, because it can be cheaper than buying them from a store in Australia. But if you're just picking it up, as I said, when you're doing your Christmas gift shopping at the shopping centre, you have a sort of a slightly limited choice of franchise tie-ins for these nanos. So these are all my suggestions for virtual pet related gifts that are easy to pick up, easy to access, and are ones that suit different types of people. So I've recommended you a few, but do you disagree with me? Would you recommend any particular other virtual pets that I forgot to mention or haven't mentioned? Let me know in the comments. Or if you're getting someone a virtual pet for Christmas, what are you getting them? Who are they? Tell me all about it. And yeah, so I hope this video was informative, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!